Kelsey Zeiser, Senior Editor at Light Reading, and we're here at the big 5G event in Denver. I'm joined by Glenn Wellbrock with Verizon. Good to see you, Glenn.
Nice to meet you, Kelsey. How are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Thank you.
So there's a lot of talk at the conference and in general around 5G about the radio access network, but the transport network is of course very important to supporting 5G.
Exactly. There's nothing really, it's a fancy radio that goes over the top of fiber. Mm-hmm. And we started a couple of years ago, we made a $1 billion commitment with Corning. Nikki mentioned that this morning in her keynote. We also made a $350 million commitment to Prysmian, another one of our suppliers, along with several others, to try and get that supply chain ramped up and built so that we could start deploying fiber everywhere. You have to have fiber in order to get those kind of bandwidths out to every radio. You can't do with other radio.
What are some of the challenges with the fiber deployments?
I'm sure there's many. Always challenge, right? There's always digging up streets and everything else. Getting right away and getting the ability, the permission to go build on light poles and everything else. Now we have had some regulatory relief, that's been great. And we've also had some cost bounding, if you will, to try and put some caps on it so that cities couldn't charge overwhelming amounts, but it's still a very long endeavor. We've got contractors across the entire country working on deploying fiber.
And you have a couple of speaking engagements at the event. One is on a timing and synchronization panel. So tell us a little bit, what are some of the challenges there? How is Verizon's approach to that different from maybe what other service providers
A lot of folks that are using mid-band or the radios that are further apart can rely on just GPS timing because it's already at the towers, if you will. If you're just putting radios there, if you're trying to deploy millimeter wave, then you got to get it a lot further into the network, a lot deeper. We want to utilize the network, the connectivity, to also provide that synchronization. Some places you just can't get a GPS signal or a really good GPS signal. Other places you could, but you also want to back up from the network. It's called Precision Time Protocol, and we deliver it over the top of the packet network that provides the connectivity to the radio. So over the top of the fiber that you're providing the connectivity, you also provide synchronization.
Okay, and does NG-PON2 factor in there with Verizon's strategy as well?
It does, it will in the future. How's that? Right now we're deploying NG-PON2 primarily for customer access, business access, but we're going to be doing it for radio access in the future. And as soon as we can get down to a pluggable, if you will, that goes right into the radio, then we feel we can enable it, and we're getting the timing, that precision time protocol, to run over the top of the NG-PON2, something that you just weren't able to do with other PON technologies. But NG-PON2 has special characteristics that allow it to transfer timing better than others.
And you mentioned millimeter wave earlier. Why is that important to Verizon's 5G strategy?
It's really important because it's ultra wideband. That's how we're advertising it and talking about it, because you get hundreds of megahertz of spectrum. With regular narrowband or these low band ones we're talking about, you get tens of megahertz of spectrum. Still good, but it's a lot like LTE. It's not anything substantially higher bandwidth, which is one of the huge promises of 5G, is better bandwidth, and the way that you get that is with millimeter wave.
And so just looking at this event so far, what are some of your main takeaways, some of the hot topics that you were most interested in, and why is it important for Verizon to be here at the big 5G event?
Well, 5G is important and Verizon was first, so we got to be here. But it's also, for me anyway, I work on the connectivity part, the transport piece, if you will. It's great to get out and see the wider ecosystem, where the radio's at, how are people coming along, how are other people approaching the same problem that we are, and get insight from the rest of the industry. It's great.
Well, thanks so much for your time, Glenn. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Kelsey. Nice to meet you.
You too.